Ladies and gentlemen, a bus full of kids going to school on a national holiday. A bus driver who is dead drunk and overspeeding. And a school that is aware that he is drunk, yet hands him the key. What happened next is every parent and every nation's nightmare. The bus rams into a tree, turns turtle, and kills 6 children in the process. As many as 21 are critical. As we speak, they are in hospital. This happened in Haryana's Mahendragarh. It's very close to Delhi. You can call it an accident, but let's be clear here. This is pure and simple murder. Here's why. First, why was the school functioning despite a holiday on Eid? Since when do schools work on gazetted holidays? Secondly, officials say the driver was drunk. Students on the bus say he was overspeeding and was trying to overtake another vehicle. The children say they begged him to slow down, but he didn't. Hiring drunks as drivers is a crime. The school is guilty of it. Where was the background verification? It's mandatory. Ladies and gentlemen, if you thought that was bad, it's getting worse. Reports are now emerging that the driver was stopped by locals in the area before this tragedy happened. They saw he was unfit to drive and handed over the key to the school. What did the school do? Hand the key right back to the driver. Someone needs to be hanged for this. Post 6 children dying, all young children dying, it now emerges that the bus's fitness certificate had expired 6 years ago in 2018. 6 years, ladies and gentlemen, and no one, not the school, not the transport department, found out. Imagine the fitness certificate of a school bus has expired 6 years ago, and it continues to ply on the roads, carrying students to school every single day. As we speak, the principal of the school and the driver have been taken into police custody. The district transport officer has been suspended. The Haryana government has asked the additional transport commissioner to submit a report in 3 to 4 days. Too little, too late, many would say. 6 children are already dead, and the toll could rise.
ये एक्सीडेंट ड्राइवर ने दारू पी रखी थी और है ना उसने 120 की स्पीड में भगा ली और जैसे ही उसने मोड़ा ना बैलेंस बिगड़ गया जब है ना वहाँ पे नहर थी उसमें टकरा गई बस।
इस हादसे की जांच करवा करके जो भी दोषी व्यक्ति है उसके खिलाफ सख्त कार्रवाई की जाएगी। बच्चों को जो जिन्होंने अपनी जान गंवाई है उन परिवारों को उचित मुआवजा सरकार पूर्ण रूप से उनकी देखभाल के लिए तैयार है।
Dr. Dharinder Tayal is a BJP leader. He is joining us on the broadcast. Roopali Kudesia is principal of the American Montessori Public School, and Anubhav Srivastav is the president of the India Parents Association. Thank you very much for joining us. Dr. Kudesia, I'm coming to you first. Roopali ji, as a principal, when you heard news of what has happened in Haryana's Mahendragarh, what were you thinking to yourself? I mean, I know that this made our blood boil. This is plain and simple murder, nothing else. Do you blame the school? Do you blame the administration?
I completely agree with you, and I also share the same sentiments. Yes, it does boil my blood too. And the Supreme Court, time and again, they have laid down the rules, and all the schools have to follow those rules. And this was the simplest of the norms that we could have followed, but we didn't. That was checking the drivers when they report on duties. And that's the first thing that I, as the principal, do in our school, and my transport manager, we follow certain norms. There is a checklist in the morning that we follow, and we ascertain that no such mishap should happen from our end. But this is very unfortunate, and imagine the plight of these parents. Even the survivors would be left with lifelong injuries to combat, and the trauma, not to forget that, the trauma that the children would be
The children on the
living
bus,
throughout their.
Roopali Kudesia, the children on the bus are saying, they are on record now to tell us. We'll just wait for a moment and let you fix your frame. But the children on the bus are actually saying on record that the driver was clearly drunk. He was over speeding. We tried to tell him, please slow down. He simply did not listen. Dr. Tayal, this happened under the watch of a BJP government. Look, it could have been a BJP government in power, it could have been a Congress government in power. Fact is that there have been lapses on the part of the transport department as much as on the part of the school. How can a bus be plying on the roads of Haryana with an expired certificate? And that certificate, fitness certificate, didn't expire, Dr. Tayal, 2 months ago or 2 years ago. It had expired 6 years ago. 6 years ago. And it continued every single day to ply children to school. Chal kya raha hai? This was an accident waiting to happen.
Shreya, I mean, everybody shares the grief and the anger both. Before being a representative of a political party, I would think of myself as a parent whose own little girls went to school on a bus. First things first. And there is, even when we say that we are going to compensate, you cannot compensate loss of life. Let's understand that basic fact, and our hearts go out. And, as far as the technicalities are concerned, I mean, to defend anything, today there is really nothing to defend. I mean, one can say actually, just as a data point, but to mention that, yes, this bus was challaned in March, some 15,000 rupees fine was imposed. They had to complete their documentation. So that part was done. But on the other hand, the callousness of the school there, that even after the challan having been issued, they continued to ply the bus. And most of all, the principal, when she was called up and told the driver is drunk, she said, "Aaj usko jaane do, kal se hum usko hata denge." I mean, can you really play with the lives of these little children? I mean, they are class 4 to class 10 little kids who've gone. I mean, think about the parents and what they've gone through. The administration, I mean, everybody has said that the administration was quick in responding. The transport or the education minister reached there quickly. All action have been taken. Whoever was to be suspended, FIRs have been lodged.
Sir, वो तो optics है ना, Dr. Tayal.
How much of a consolation?
वो तो optics है ना.
No.
That is no consolation. No consolation to parents who've lost their children.
That's exactly what I said. That, I mean, under the circumstances, what can be done has been done right till the senior most level, right till the Prime Minister and the President of India. So let's understand that. But at the same time, where I started from, that all our hearts are with those kids. We are all parents. We've all had our kids go on these buses. And I could not agree more with you that whoever is responsible, and I mean whoever is responsible, does need to be hanged. The innocent parents or children don't need to suffer because of somebody's callousness or because of somebody's lack of adherence.
Whoever nahi, Dr. Tayal. Whoever nahi, I will tell you who is to blame. There are 3 people specifically to blame. The Transport Commissioner of Haryana. Don't let him go scot-free. This has happened under his watch. You can say he is not the one who served alcohol to the driver. He didn't. I understand that. But it was his job to ensure that all the buses, especially school buses that ply on the roads of Haryana, have a fitness certificate. He didn't do his job. He was sleeping on his job, because of which the accident happened. The school principal, lapse after lapse after lapse, unforgivable. It's a crime if she knew, and she did know, that the driver was drunk. She says, "Aaj usko jaane do, kal main dekh lungi usko." Villagers are coming to you. giving you the key of the school bus and saying he's drunk, and you hand the key back to him? What are you thinking? What were you thinking? Parents send children to school, and there is a there's a bond of trust between the parent and the school. That my child is coming to your school, going to be in your school for 8 hours in a day. I need to know he'll be safe with you, she'll be safe with you. The principal failed in that duty. And third, of course, the bus driver who is currently in custody. Why was he even allowed to drive? Drunks usually have a history, ladies and gentlemen. No sober person suddenly one day gets drunk and shows up for work. If the school knew that he was a drunk, why was there no background verification check? Why was he not sacked? Why was he allowed to drive a bus that carried children to and fro from school every day? Anuva, this is a nightmare. And it is a nightmare despite the fact that the Supreme Court over and over again is very clear about how school buses need to operate and the sort of background verification checks that are mandatory.
Yes, Shreyaji, this is a very horrifying incident, and I'm really shocked because of all this death, and my prayers also to all the families for those students who are alive for the speedy recovery. And yes, this is criminal negligence, I would say. And it's not only school administration, principal, and school management. It is RTO department, it is education department. They all should be booked under criminal negligence. Suspension is not the right solution. I would urge the state government to immediately
It's just an eyewash.
Arrest. It is just an eyewash. Immediate. Why they have not arrested all these officials? Why the RTO department officials, education department officers, education officer, why is not in custody? Why only principal and school administration and that driver? This is pure criminal negligence, and time and again we have been requesting the authorities, we have been requesting the government. Even NCPCR has sent notices last year to all the state government to conduct inspection, to conduct check of all these buses, private school buses, especially all the buses, government and private school buses. But there is very few states have responded and submitted the ATR as far as the fitness certificate is concerned. And how come the school bus was running at a speed which is beyond the limit? How come any RTO inspector or any traffic police was not there to check the speed of any bus? Because as a citizen, when we drive, there's a speed limit that we cannot drive at a speed of 10 kilometers or 5 or 20 or 50 kilometers. How can a bus driver drive a school bus with a speed limit which is not allowed? So this is a pure criminal negligence, and all should be booked. Suspension will not resolve this issue until
I agree with you.
Action,
just the suspension of one government official, Anubhaji, I agree with you. Just the suspension of one government official does not work. There are multiple government organizations, there are multiple government departments that have failed, the education department, the RTO, of course, the school. So this eyewash business will simply not do. And you're correct in pointing out that what has happened till now is simply an eyewash. Ladies and gentlemen, I want all of you, as I wrap this chat, to think about this. Today is a gazetted holiday. Many of you would have taken your children to the mall or out for a meal. It's a chutti after all. But please imagine that in 6 families in this country today, there is grief and only grief. Ladies and gentlemen, grief and only grief because the school failed in its duty, the RTO failed in its duty, the education department failed in its duty, the Haryana government failed in its duty. We'll just leave it at that. Our prayers right now with the families of those who have lost their 6 children, and our prayers also with all the children, the 21 children who right now are in hospital. We are being told that many of them are critical. I'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much, Anubha Srivastav. Thank you very much, Roopali Kudesia. And thank you very much, Dr. Tayal, for joining us this evening. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm stepping into a quick